Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kapows Arcade Adventures. In this adventure, we're heading on over to Morristown, New Jersey, to the Morristown Game Vault. Now, my really good buddy Troy, Gibby, Gibbs and I had a road trip set up to go to Sunbury, Pennsylvania to hook up with a guy named Drew that he had met on one of the Facebook forums that was selling a really nice condition Berserk cabinet that Troy wanted to go ahead and pick up for his personal collection. So we got in the van, pointed it north, and headed on up to Pennsylvania. Now, along the way, we decided, since we're up here, why don't we go ahead and get on Google and figure out what arcades are going to be closest to where we're going to be staying at, which was in a place called Milford, Pennsylvania, where my family happens to have another house. So we headed on up there, and the very first place we found was the Morristown Game Vault in Morristown, New Jersey. Now, we kind of coordinated some of our efforts with another really good buddy of ours named Del that runs Delusionals Arcade on YouTube. If you have not checked out Del's channel, please get on the YouTube box there, type in Delusionals Arcade, go ahead and check out his channel, hit like, subscribe, and then click on the bell icon so the next time Del puts out a great video, you guys are going to be notified about it. So after we got into Morristown, New Jersey, and we kind of parked our car and got out there on the main street, the very first thing that you see as you approach the Game Vault is this big, beautiful bank that was built in the 1855 time frame. Now, for me, it screamed nostalgia. The thing that it most closely resembled, at least in my mind, was the building that had the clock tower in it that Marty McFly had to capture lightning from to send the DeLorean back to the future when he hit 88 miles per hour. And when you looked at the front of this building, it just screamed, come on in and play games. So once we got there, we were able to hook up with the owner, which is Dave Balsamini, who created the Game Vault back in about 2016 timeframe. Now, Dave started collecting arcade games in the early 2000s, and about 16 years into really developing a love for this hobby and being a child of the 80s and growing up around these games, decided it was time for a career change. Now, David spent over 20 years as a pharmacist handing out pills and medicine to people in need, and then decided, you know what, I would rather be handing out happiness and smiles and go ahead and change careers and kind of do this thing. So that's what he did. And for about the last 16 months, you know, the arcade kind of had its ups and downs because of COVID-19 and the pandemic that affected so many other arcades that are out there. But luckily, they were able to survive the turmoil of the last year and a half, and things are looking really good now at the Game Vault. Now, Dave has got a staff of 4 part-time employees. He brings in some help from a tech person that does game repairs and some more of the advanced stuff about once a month. And then a lot of the maintenance done on the machines is done by Dave himself there on site. Now, his goal is that you will not have a machine down for more than 2 hours at a time if he can help it, and you will see him frequently out there on the floor among the games, either cleaning or fixing stuff as the patrons kind of come and go throughout their day, because he really wants to provide that excellent experience to the people coming to the arcade. And that is exactly what we had while we were there. Now, it is a pay-to-play location. You don't play by quarters and you don't drop tokens. Depending upon how long you want to play, you will buy that block of time, and you're given a wristband that allows you to actually identify when you came into the arcade and when you leave. If you're in the Morristown, New Jersey area, I would highly recommend you guys go check out the Morristown Game Vault. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video and let you guys experience what we had while we were there. Okay guys, so as I said, we are in Morristown, New Jersey at the Morristown Game Vault, which is owned by David Balsamini. The Game Vault has been in existence since about March of 2016, and let's go ahead and get on inside. So like I said, the Game Vault, which is here in Morristown, New Jersey, actually used to be a bank. And as soon as you come into the lobby, the first thing that you're going to actually see is an operational ATM from PNC Bank. And on the outside of the bank building, you'll actually notice that there's still PNC Bank signs. So as you kind of progress on into the door, the first thing you're going to see is the kiosk where you sign in, which has got a bunch of 80s style memorabilia inside of it. The way that the pricing goes here is a little different. You actually pay after you check out, and it's based on how much time you've spent inside. Now, I gotta tell you, I've been to a lot of arcades, and we had some time today to spend with Dave and kind of talk. And the decor, the way that everything is set up is fantastic. Now, there's about 115 games here on site. That's a mixture of both pins and vids that are all operational. There's really not a theme as far as how they kind of flow through the space, as much as it is like what actually fits where, however he wanted to do it on the layout of the floor. So we're just gonna kind of walk through and highlight some of the pieces here in the arcade for you. So as soon as you come in, one of the first things that you'll wind up seeing is a Star Wars Trilogy off to the side, back right up against the pole position cockpit. And then as you kind of go down the row, you know, you've got a lot of your standards. You know, Frogger, Donkey Kong Jr., DK3, dual person, Daytona sit down, and then you kind of get into your first row of pins, which were some of the more current Marvel Spider-Man, Iron Man, Jurassic Park with a topper, and then you get into a couple more vids in the row, which are Q*bert, House of the Dead 2, and Mr. Do's Castle. And right next to one of my all-time favorites, a Star Wars sit-down cockpit. Now on the back side, what you have over here, one of the unique things that we saw, we had a chance to talk with Dave about, is this Arkanoid Cab with custom side art that's here. Now, if you're not, kind of familiar with this and you've never seen it before, this art package that you see that's custom designed for this Arkanoid actually comes from Joe Sabos. You can go ahead and look in the links below and it will actually take you to this. I'll highlight it for everybody. But if you've not seen an Arkanoid done up this way with this type of custom artwork on it, it is absolutely fantastic. I don't have an Arkanoid, but if I was gonna have one, I think this is exactly how I would want it to look. Some of the other unique things that you'll kind of see in here is that they do have a couple of console stations where you've got, GameCube, NES, N64, some of those systems. And then we have another one over here that's got other, PS PlayStation style games. These ones you can sit at for a period of time, about 15 minutes, during peak hours of play, that you can get on and play whatever games that they have on their system. And then, up here, really nice flavor and touch, bags of money that say Game Vault on it, as you kind of look through it. And then we got Punch Out, Tetris, and then Spy Hunter. As we progress back towards the back side of the arcade, I've had discussions recently with some friends, like what makes for a good classic arcade? Is it the collection that you have in there? Is it the number of games? Is it the playability of what you can kind of see? And I think it's a mixture of a lot of those different elements. But whenever I come into one of these places, I look for the standouts, like things that you don't normally see amongst the normal kind of arcade games, the Miss Pac-Mans and Donkey Kongs. And one of the first things that you see on the back side of the Game Vault is open the safe. This is literally the first time I've been able to see one of these in person, other than either watching YouTube videos about it or pictures of it online. So right off the bat, one of the unique titles that kind of stands out. Another one would be Clowns. I'd never actually seen this in person, and then right next to a gunfight. When we talk atmosphere inside of an arcade, like what makes it unique? Well, this is a vault, it's a former bank. And what you see in the back is the actual bank door of the vault still installed. And they actually call this the Tron Room. So, right on top, you've got this beautifully custom designed piece of Tron artwork. And then as you progress into the vault, the first game that you're gonna see is an actual Tron playing Tron Legacy, the most recent Tron version of the movie on top of it for you to see as you kind of go through. And then here are all the previous safety deposit boxes, which is just really a neat feature. And then it wouldn't be a safe without a safe cracker pinball right here inside, absolutely right next to it. And then there's also even a Satan's Hollow cabaret that kind of snuck in here on the right. Now, Dave was telling us when he first rented this from the current owners, they asked him if they wanted him to go ahead and have the vault removed. And he was like, absolutely not. The theme of this arcade is gonna be the Game Vault, and it can't be a Game Vault without the actual bank vault inside of it. As you progress up the backside here, you kind of have games like tucked all over the place. Wherever they fit and they could get them in, they would put them. So you've got, Tempest, one of my favorite vectors, followed up by Battlezone, Gyrus, and then Make Tracks back here in the back corners. And then as you progress up this row, we've got Paperboy, Millipede, Marble Madness, Baby Pack, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, another one of those titles that you don't always see out on location at different retro arcades. Area 51, Gapless, Xevious, Operation Thunderbolt, Circus Charlie, Rolling Thunder, Street Fighter, Joust, and Double Dragon back there. And then we've got Earthshaker, another one of the pins on this side. Now the other side of the arcade is dedicated to pins, but there are still, you know, a smattering of them in different places. Then we've got Time Pilot and a Missile Command Cabaret back here. Now later on in the video, I'm going to show you guys the secret room back here and some of the unique titles that Dave has kind of hidden away that he only brings out on certain moments for different people to play or during league night for pinballs. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So as we progress back up this way onto this side of the arcade and we kind of round this corner, you know, we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 720, Kung Fu Master, one of my favorite Data East games, right next to Karate Champ. I've always said that if I had the space, and I already do have a Karate Champ, I would love to put Kung Fu Master next to it. Then we got Sega Virtua Fighter 4, Return of the Jedi. You know, you either love it or hate it, man. I happen to have one. You know, there's only 800 of these titles actually of this particular game put out by Atari. I always get excited when I see others that have the game on location or they have it in their collection, because it really is a love or hate with this particular title. You know, anything with the word Star Wars on it, I gravitate towards. So you know, in having the other Star Wars upright, I had to have Return of the Jedi, and I just love seeing it out. Four title Neo Geo, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and a System 1 cab. And then we have a couple of cabarets in here. We've got Centipede, we've got a Phoenix, a really nice Journey that's in here working, Donkey Kong 2, and then Crazy Climber with a Pango, and then a Kicks Cabaret that's back here. On the other side, as you kind of walk through here, and you can see they even have a $6 million man that's inside this off-limits area, and you can see the bank vault inside of there. From what Dave was telling me, 2 of the pinballs that they only take out on specific league nights. One happens to be the $6 million man, and the other is the Harlem Globetrotters that he has in the back room. So the only time you actually get to play these 2 particular pins is during league night. It's not generally available to the regular public. We got Dragon's Lair, Gorf, Space Invaders. There you go. Hi. You having fun? Yeah. We have Popeye, Elevator Action. You know what my most favorite title, Jungle King, Road Blasters, NBA Jam. And then we round the corner here and we have Sinistar, The Simpsons, Iron Man Off-Road. And then we start to kind of get into some of the pins. Now, if you come back here, this is the former break room. This is also where the bathrooms are for when the folks at the bank used to work here. We have an Amigo, Meteor, and Solar Ride, and you can even buy some Snapple if you're so inclined. Come back out this way, we've got my other favorite vector, as I was always saying, Star Wars, Pole Position 2, Dig Dug, Tapper. The other side of some of the console systems on this side of the table. We've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Galaga, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, Pac-Mania, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, Robotron, Defender. Everybody loves having a Fix-It Felix. Full-size Iron Man. I love the decor. You know, decor, atmosphere, you know, that's one of the things I always look for. 4-player X-Men. There is a party room that you can actually book and do private parties here at the Game Vault. And then we get into some of the other pinballs that they have. You know, Ghostbusters, Metallica, AC/DC, Simpsons Pinball Party, which is one of my favorites, South Park, Theater of Magic, World Cup Soccer, Twilight Zone, Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D, Addams Family with the Topper, Funhouse, Pinbot, Space Shuttle. Timmy, Space Shuttle for you, here you go, man. A Xenon, Gorgar, and Star Trek. And then the last handful of games we'll kind of highlight for you guys. Final Fight, Track and Field. Nice looking Gauntlet. Asteroids, Moon Patrol, and Burger Time. So as you guys can see from the video, there really isn't any rhyme or reason or thematic way that the games have been laid out here inside of the Game Vault. It's really what kind of fit wherever it was Dave wanted to put it out on the floor, you know, how he wanted to kind of put it together. And as I said, you know, over 100 games between pins and vids that you can play on the floor. Nothing out here on the floor is down. He makes it a point that if a game is having a problem, to kind of immediately address it. In talking with Dave, one of the things he really did highlight is that he cannot be an absentee owner, that he tries to be here. This is his full-time gig. When you talk origin stories of guys, whether they are collectors or they started playing video games or they decide to get into this idea of running an arcade, I always love hearing like how it started. So he's been collecting games for about 20 years. He is a child of the 80s. He grew up going to classic arcades like many of us have done. And about 6 years ago, like I had said at the beginning of the video, he decided, I'm going to go ahead and get into this. I'm going to jump in with both feet. I'm going to open my own arcade. Now, in a previous life, Dave was a pharmacist, believe it or not. He is a self-taught as far as how to do repairs on his vids and pins. He does all of the work himself. He does have a technician that comes in about once a month that kind of help him out with other repairs as needed. But he is both the owner and the primary fixer of all of his vids and pins on site. Up on the big walls that you can see what he would refer to as the third level. And when you look inside of this place, you're talking a 30-foot high ceiling. He's got the leaderboard or the high scoreboard up on the wall. He's also got, movies that wind up playing for people to watch. And it just so fits. Like everything about the arcade, from the collection to the other things that he has added as far as decorations to add better atmosphere, it is just a wonderful location. So one of the things I've been wanting to add to my videos as I get an opportunity to go out and do these different tours is to add a game of the episode. A lot of these places that we tend to go to have your standard Miss Pac, Pac-Man, Galaga, Donkey Kong, all the kind of standards from the 80s. And you find that from one retro arcade to barcade to whatever location that you wind up going out to, whether you're a casual player or a true hobbyist / preservationist. But what I look for are those unique titles that you do not see every time you go to one of these locations. The actual standouts, the diamonds in the rough. And for us in this episode, the game that we were able to find is Milestar's Three Stooges. Now, if you were a child of the 80s, 70s, or even 60s for that matter, you likely grew up watching Moses Horowitz, Louis Feinberg, and Jerome Horowitz play the eternally embodied characters of Mo Howard, Larry Fine, and Curly Howard. Now, there was actually a fourth Stooge, and if you know his name, both the actor and the character that he played, leave it in the comments down below. I love the Stooges growing up. I love black and white TV. I spent many an afternoon as a kid on Channel 9 up in New York, New Jersey area, watching reruns of the Three Stooges. And I'm here to tell you, they would never make TV or movies like this today. The slapstick comedy, the one-liners these guys came up with, the pure violence that they would enact upon one another is really, in my mind, is like the predecessor to things like Jackass that you see actually guys going out and doing some of these types of things that the Three Stooges actually embodied when they came up with their episodes. Now, they started out in 1922 as a vaudeville act, ran until the 1970s, and came up with roughly 190 short episodes that we all enjoyed as kids. So go ahead and watch the gameplay of this pretty rare title that you don't get to see that often, that I was very happy David allowed us to play. After having picked up the game 8 years ago, stick it in the back room, hasn't turned it on in 2 years, and he really ran the risk of blowing a fuse and getting magic smoke coming out of the game when we decided let's turn this puppy on and see what it has. Alright, so here we're at the Game Vault, we're with Dave. And just like I always try to do is I look for a unique game whenever we get into a different location. And we were lucky enough to have Dave take us to the secret room in the back. And back in here we have a Three Stooges. This is literally the first time I've ever even put my hands on one other than looking at it on video. Dave got it about 2 years ago. It's been sitting here in the back room, never even powered it up. And we decided, why not? Let's plug it in, blow a fuse, see magic smoke if it happens. Luckily it did not. The game is actually working, and I'm going to go ahead and play it for the first time. So it's already set to free play. I want to play Mo. I grew up watching the Three Stooges, and we'll kind of see how this goes. We were watching the playthrough of it a little bit. Seems sort of like food fight-ish kind of a thing. You've got 3 different players, Larry, Mo, and Curly. You kind of run around, throw pies, hammers, and you go through the level kind of progressing. I love the audio of this. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so let's see how we do here. These is we had a conversation on the way up. What makes for a good classic arcade? And one of my criteria is always unique games. I mean, Miss Pac-Man's good, Donkey Kong's great, but it's the one-offs that you don't see in other locations. And like I said, this is the very first time that I've even gotten a chance to play a Three Stooges for real. So here we are, we're in the game, I'm throwing pies around. If you ever grew up watching the black and white episodes, a lot of those elements are reminiscent right here in the game. You know, the poking each other in the eye, throwing pies, throwing hammers, all the violent nature that you saw in the Three Stooges back in the day that is completely lost on this generation of kids that never had a chance to see it. Even in syndication, when you can still find it on things like TMC or the Nickelodeon channel.
Hey, watch out!
A lot of their catchphrases. Oh, I got killed by the cop. Pie in the face. Now what you're supposed to do is you gotta collect keys to advance and get out of here. Hit him with the hammer. I love this game. It's fantastic. And there you have it. Game's over. I didn't do so great. We're gonna get back to playing inside the game vault, so I'll see you guys in a little bit. Everybody, that's going to wrap up this adventure at the Morristown Game Vault. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I'm still really new to doing this stuff, and I'm trying to get better every time that I put one of these out. Troy, myself, and Dell really enjoyed our time spent with Dave at the Morristown Game Vault. If you guys are a hobbyist, even if you're just a casual gamer, and you're looking to see what classic arcade games or classic arcades were like, we would really suggest that you guys spend the time, head on over to Morristown, New Jersey, and check out the Game Vault. And if you're in there, look for Dave. He'll probably be out on the floor fixing games or wiping stuff down, and he would love to talk to anybody that wants to talk video games and take up 5 minutes of his time giving you guys the nickel and dime tour. So until our next adventure, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe and the bell icon so the next time I get one of these videos done, you guys will know about it as soon as it posts. Have a great day and game on.